welcome back to the channel. As I don't know whether this is a promise or it is a threat, but I am fulfilling it, whichever of the two it is. We will continue talking about galleys. It may have something to do with me getting hungry. But while we are on the subject, we ended up last time discussing the locations of galleys on East Indiaman. One of the questions that apparently arises frequently, all it tells me, is how do you fireproof them? After all, this is a major hazard. In the 16th and 17th century, we have a fairly detailed description of how this was done in the 17th century on Dutch ships. Nicholas Witsen, he describes it very clearly. And incidentally, I love that part of the book, and if we have time, I'll share with you why. What he describes is a fairly modest galley built for a pinasche, or square stern merchant vessel, of about 400 tons burden. And the galley that he proposes for this ship is 7 by 7, presumably Amsterdam feet, since he was from Amsterdam. And as I dare say, most of you are aware, the Amsterdam foot is of 11 inches, and therefore it is shorter than the English/American foot. For this, he describes how it is done. Once the deck is laid, you lay an extra thick layer of planking on top of the deck, where the galley is going to be. You leave a coaming around it, and you fill up this area with sand. On top of the sand is laid a copper sheet. On top of the copper sheet, you use Leiden standard bricks from the city of Leiden to construct the galley itself. Witsen is kind enough to tell us exactly how many bricks you will need. But essentially, he is describing something that we see on Vasa, that we see on Prince Willem and other Dutch models. You are building an entire room out of bricks, but the cooking itself, the fire, is really open fire in the middle of the floor of this cooking arrangement. There are spits off of which you are hanging the kettles or the cauldrons. They are broadly similar to this galley, really, except that this is quite small. You do not step. While on one of the Dutch vessels, the cooks would have been walking on the brick lay. There will be 2 or 3 spits so that you can roast meat, or you can hang kettles and boil. And that probably was up to standards for any other kitchen on dry land. There would not, between the galley and the abilities, the sort of food that the galley could produce versus the sort of food that a well-stocked kitchen on dry land could produce is not much of a difference, really. Why did I specify Leiden bricks? That's a pet subject of mine. Because there was an article on bricks, which you can actually go and find it on that specified the dimensions of Leiden. And the Leiden standard was established in the 1640s. If only too fallible memory serving me right, I think it was 1644 or 47, something like this. And why is this so important for us? Because when we discovered Huis de Kroningen in Tobago, with my colleagues, we measured a sample of around 30-40 bricks, and all of them grouped together. Well, this is pre-industrial time. These bricks have hung on the bottom for the last 300 plus years. So of course there is some variation, and not all edges are perfectly sharp, but they all were so close in dimensions that could not be a coincidence. So when I returned home, after we discovered the ship in March 2014. As I returned home, I did my search into the bricks, and sure enough, there is the Leiden standard that matches perfectly what we found on the Huis de Kroningen. She was launched late in 1952. And so she's from the 1650s, she's mid-17th century. 10 years after the establishment, more or less, 10 years after the establishment of the Leiden standard. Witsen, who published his book in 1670 or 71, I think 71, also specifies the laden dimensions. So we see a fairly lengthy period of, at the very least, 30-ish years in which the laden standard is the way to do it. Why is this interesting and important? Because when I published the preliminary results, one of the peer reviews, who happened to be a Dutch colleague, archaeologist, criticized by pointing out that there is no laden standard. He has excavated a number of smaller 17th century craft, and there is no laden standard. Where did I come up with this? So, digging up, Witsen helped me with this, because there very clearly it states laden standard. So that is why it is a subject near and dear to my heart. I was right and the critique was wrong. Which, to be fair, he admitted after that. He's a very good, capable archaeologist. So this is in no form or fashion criticism of a colleague. So much about the bricks. As I said, the English continued also building and relaying and rebuilding their galleys all over the world. Wherever English ships had to be cleaned, repaired, the galley was always part of the task. And one can understand, not only is it highly hazardous, but also armies march on their bellies, and Samuel Pepys used to say that the English seaman worshipped his belly. Probably not just the English seaman. But the point is that galleys are of exceptional importance. You must feed your crew. By the turn of the 17th century, the shortcomings of the brick-laid galley had become rather obvious. Too heavy, too easily damaged, not easily movable, shot can damage it. A better solution had to be found, especially a lighter solution. Fast forward to the different modifications of the iron stove. And yes, it was first the English who started using them. They are from sheet iron, riveted. Eventually, one of the versions was the Brody. One of the early descriptions is in 1730s, treatise, but they were already well used by then. It was the later modification. What was the advantage of such a galley like this one? First of all, it was a lot lighter. Second of all, it did not need constant maintenance. Third, it could be moved if you needed to. There were rings along the sides, you could put bars, you could lift it, you could move it. It was less susceptible to damage. It provided opportunities for roasting, for boiling, usually 2 kettles. You can see here on this 3D print of a galley. But the fire was much better contained. It was easier to douse the fires before action or in a storm. So the advantages were manifest and numerous, but the most important advantage was that the cast iron stove was infinitely lighter than the brick and far, far less easily damaged. I believe the English were the first ones to develop this stove, but of course very quickly others adopted it too. It is interesting in this context to point out that the American privateer from the American Revolutionary War, which sank in the Penobscot fiasco defense, she has a brick galley forward immediately after of the foremast, and the brick galley actually is surviving very, very well. It is among the best preserved parts of the ship. Another brick galley was found, we observed recently on a 17th century wreck from the Scone War in the Baltic in 23. Eventually more work will be done on that wreck, I'm hoping. That's why I will not specify. So what other alternatives to cooking aboard ship existed? When we excavated the kitchen shipwreck in more years ago than I care to admit, we never discovered any galley arrangement. The only thing that we found was a copper-made brazier, or charcoal burner, if you prefer. That was the only means available. At the time I hypothesized, though I think I had the common sense not to write it down, that surely there was a sandbox on deck where the food was produced. Fast forward to the 2000s, specifically 2016-17, and 2 years ago, whatever that will happen to be, 24, I suppose. During the Black Sea Map Maritime Archaeological Project, we discovered a squadron of open boats. I believe I have mentioned them before on different occasions. But on one of the boats, we discovered 2 ceramic charcoal braziers. One of them still contained bones, one of them also contained the charcoal. We were able to radiocarbon date these to the mid-17th century, the 1660s, right, the tail end of the Cretan War. That clearly was the only means of cooking. 1660s. Fast forward to 2024, when Dr. Dragomir Grbov and yours truly are excavating a very well preserved and fairly large, 25-meter long shipwreck in the southern bay of Kitan, under Cape Ordoviza. That vessel survives to the deck level. In the stern cabin, we discovered exactly the same type of ceramic, clay, charcoal burner, brazier. And in that case, we found it in context with the charcoal inside, with bones that were clearly cooked, that were inside the charcoal burner. Our zooarchaeologist was able to determine which parts of the animal it was. It was a sheep that they were eating. Actually, we have 3 different individuals of sheep represented, but that was the only means of cooking aboard this vessel also. So on shorter range, charcoal burners, braziers are an alternative to the cooking arrangements. But as far as simple sandboxes, especially in the Levant, in the southern part of the Levant, in the Islamic world, they continue to survive all the way to the present day and are still in use. I think with this we have beaten this particular horse dead. So I think we have covered all that could be covered about galleys. If you still would like to know more about them, by all means, write a comment, which I will proceed to ignore. Thank you ever so much for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting and asking questions. Thank you so very, very, very much to the sponsors. I truly appreciate it. Head over to the SYSTER channel and enjoy the live stream. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.